Okay, so this month we're diving into the IQ ecosystem. And there's a lot happening, right? AI, blockchain, it's all kind of blurring together in a really interesting way.
It really is a fascinating convergence we're seeing, and this September 2024 report really captures that.
It does. So let's jump right in with IQ GPT. 2 million users.
Hmm.
Over 100 integrations. I mean, those numbers aren't just impressive, they're telling us something.
They are, and what they tell me is that there's a real hunger for what IQ GPT is offering. Reliable crypto information, easy to access, and it's clearly resonating with people.
And it's not just about the numbers. They've rolled out some really cool new features. Custom training, for example, being able to tailor the AI to your specific needs. That's huge.
It is. Think about it. In the crypto space, we're constantly bombarded with information, and being able to cut through the noise and get to what's relevant for you is invaluable.
And it's not just about sifting through data more efficiently, it's about understanding it. Their new price command. How useful is that?
Incredibly useful. Instead of jumping between platforms, multiple charts, boom, it's right there.
Exactly. It just makes sense. And speaking of making sense of things, I was reading about one user, VLord1. They completely streamlined their research process using IQ GPT. That's powerful stuff.
Absolutely. Real-world examples like that really cut through the hype. It's one thing to talk about potential, but when you see someone actually using it to make their life easier, to be more effective, that's when you know it's the real deal.
Totally.
Yeah.
And they're bridging the language barrier, too, with multi-language support, which makes sense considering how global crypto is.
Makes perfect sense. Crypto doesn't care about borders, and neither should the tools we use to understand it.
And speaking of big names embracing these tools, Frax Finance and Anchor integrating IQ GPT, those aren't small players.
They're not. These are DeFi projects known for pushing the boundaries of what's possible. The fact that they see the value in what IQ is doing, it's a strong indicator of the potential impact this could have.
It's like they're saying this is the future of how we interact with information in this space, right?
Exactly. And then there's IQ.wiki, their ambitious project to be the blockchain encyclopedia.
Which, by the way, they added Purify this month for decentralized compliance. Very timely.
It is, and their timing with MintSwap is spot on, too, what with them getting so big now.
It's like they have a crystal ball or something. But I think it speaks to their commitment to staying current, to reflecting the dynamic nature of this space.
It does, and looking at some of their other additions, like RuneVM, that tells you they're thinking long-term about blockchain scalability and not just what's hot right now.
And that's what I appreciate about their approach with IQ.wiki. It's not just about explaining what exists today, but providing the context for why it matters. It's about connecting the dots.
Absolutely. And for people who are still getting up to speed, their glossary of the week on x.com/genius.
Isn't it? I mean, let's be honest. The crypto space can be a bit of a minefield of jargon.
It can be totally overwhelming.
Exactly. And by breaking down these complex terms, like, say, what they did this week with eigenlayer and privacy pools, they're making this knowledge accessible to everyone.
Which is so important because those are definitely two concepts people need to understand.
For sure. Eigenlayer, with the potential to change how we think about blockchain security, and then privacy pools, which are becoming crucial in the DeFi space, especially with data privacy becoming such a big deal.
Huge GE.
Right, it's like they're handing you the cheat codes to understanding the future of blockchain.
And they're doing it in a way that's actually engaging, you know? It's not dry, technical stuff. It's interesting. It makes you want to learn more.
And at the end of the day, isn't that what it's all about? It's not just about the technology itself. It's about how people are using it, how it's impacting their lives.
100%. That's where the real story is.
And speaking of impact, have you seen how IQ's been showing up on the global stage?
Oh, absolutely. Token 2049, Singapore, Korea Blockchain Week. They're everywhere.
It's got to be kind of nice to get out from behind the screens, right? Actually be in the room where it's happening.
You know, as much as we can connect virtually these days, there's still something special about those face-to-face interactions. You can feel the energy, the passion.
For sure. It's like you can have all the best tech in the world, but at the end of the day, it's about people connecting with people.
100%. Ideas are sparked, collaborations are formed. These conferences are where the real magic happens.
And I think it shows a real commitment on IQ's part, too. They're not just building something in a vacuum. They're actively engaging with the global community.
Which is so important in a space that's evolving as rapidly as this one. It's about being part of the conversation, helping to shape the direction of the industry.
Speaking of shaping the future, I've noticed they keep using this phrase, this intelligent future. And I have to admit, it's starting to grow on me. What is it about that idea that resonates most with you?
For me, it's the potential of projects like IQ Code, AI assisting with smart contract coding.
Oh, yeah, that could be huge.
Absolutely. Right now, there's a barrier to entry for a lot of people who want to build in the blockchain space. It requires a pretty specific skill set.
For sure. And even for experienced developers, it can be incredibly time-consuming, complex. Yeah, there's a lot of room for error.
Right, but imagine a world where those barriers are lowered, where anyone with a good idea can translate that idea into a decentralized application.
That's the dream. It's about democratizing access, giving more people the tools to build the future they want to see.
Exactly, and it circles back to what we were talking about earlier with things like their glossary of the week. It's about making this technology and this space as a whole more accessible to everyone.
It's like they're not just building cool tech, they're building a community around it.
And not just any community, but one that's informed, empowered, and excited about the possibilities. It's about meeting people where they are and giving them the resources they need to be a part of this movement.
Which at the end of the day is what makes this whole intelligent future thing feel less like a marketing slogan and more like a very real possibility, right? It's not about the tech itself, it's about the people using it.
It's about recognizing that the future isn't something that just happens to us, it's something we actively create.
Yeah.
And with the right tools, with access to information, and a supportive community.
We can build something truly incredible. And the exciting thing is, we're not just talking about some far-off future here, are we? This is happening now.
It is, and I think that's what makes companies like IQ so interesting to watch. They're not just talking about it, they're building it.
Right. And not just building it, but building it in a way that's accessible.
Yeah.
Like, remember when blockchain was this super niche thing? It was all like, if you don't understand cryptographic hash functions, go home.
Right. And now, look, it's mainstream news. People are using it for everything from supply chain management to digital art.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think IQ is playing a big part in that shift, With things like their glossary of the week, they're making this complex world understandable. They're saying, hey, you don't need a PhD in computer science to get this.
Right. And they're not just throwing definitions at you, they're actually explaining the why behind it all. Like, remember when they broke down eigenlayer?
Oh, yeah, that was a good one.
Suddenly, it wasn't just about this abstract concept of blockchain security. It was about, okay, this could actually change how we think about trust and decentralization in a very real way.
It clicked, and then you see how they're integrating with projects like Frax Finance and Anchor.
Yeah.
Those are big players in DeFi. It's like the pieces are starting to fit together.
They are. And it all comes back to that idea of an intelligent future, right?
Right.
A future where we're not just using technology, we're using it to be smarter, to make better decisions.
More informed decisions.
Yeah.
And not just about our money, but about our data.
Yeah.
Our privacy. All of it.
Absolutely. It's about taking back control, becoming active participants in this digital world, rather than just passive consumers.
And that brings us to our final thought for you listening today. We've thrown a lot of information at you, but here's the thing. None of it matters if you don't do anything with it.
That's right. Knowledge is power, but only if you use it.
So our challenge to you is this. Go out there and learn something new this week. Dive into a topic you've been curious about. Play around with some of the tools we've talked about, because the future of information is here.
And it's up to all of us to shape it.
This has been The Deep Dive. Until next time.